Welcome to the When Dreams and Action Collide podcast. I'm Joy Lene, your productivity powerhouse. And today on the podcast, I thought I would talk about something that I read in the book Arete by Brian Johnson, which is a really good book that I recommend. It's quite thick, but it's broken down. You can read like one or two the things that you each day. But he, in one of the passages, so to speak, I guess you could say, he talks about clock time versus horticultural time or garden time, plant time, whatever. And how it takes time for little things to add up to big things. But how this day and age, we want everything now. Like we're living in the age of convenience, fast food, instant gratification, Amazon on your door the day of or the next day. Like this is the times that we're living in. I said last week in the episode, we look at Instagram and we see the highlight of people's reel. We see the success of people now, but we don't necessarily see what they've done in the past. So this is the age we're living in. We want everything now. We don't want to wait. We don't want to wait anymore. And I've kind of been this is probably in the last 20, 30 years, because I can remember kind of when I was young, like almost the switch, maybe like 80s to 90s, like that switch of, things kind of moved really slow. Life moved really slow. And then it was just like instant. Like it was just like boom, boom, boom. You've got to move quick. But we are living in a generation and a culture today where we're so impatient. And I have to think about, every time I think of the word patience, there's this song that I learned when I was young, and it was called Have Patience, don't be in such a hurry. When you get impatient, you only start to worry. And sometimes I have to sing that to myself when I'm getting impatient, especially with my kids. But it's so true. We do not like to be patient when it comes to, especially personal growth things and goals and things that we're working on. We want it instant. And, this kind of mindset has just shaped our expectations. We want everything to be quick, including our personal growth, including, maybe you're launching in a business or something, anything big in life. We expect it to be quick these days. And maybe that's because we see people's highlight reel, or we see where they are now, but we know, unless they've written a biography or they've told about their life, we don't know where they've come from. So I want to talk a little bit about this clock time versus horticultural time. So a little bit, we kind of know clock time is this is measured in hours and minutes. We've got a 24-hour cycle in a day. Clock time is great for short-term tasks. When you have a deadline, if you got to get a meal on the table, that's when clock time works, these types of things. But it can be very limiting when it comes to, again, personal growth or long-term goals. So we can't think of clock time when we think of these things. Whereas horticultural time or plant time, whatever, this is measured in growth cycles, seasons, natural development, kind of its own way, the process of planting a seed and waiting for it to grow. You can't rush it. And any person who's really into gardens, now I'm not into gardens, but I do know the concept of planting things. But, even when you're planting a seed, you can kind of know, oh, this harvests in this time, but you cannot nail it down to the day or the hour. You just kind of know it's around this season. So you're still having to cultivate those things. And what's great is lasting achievements and lasting sustainable growth mostly follows the horticultural time clock, okay? The patience, the deep care, those things. If you want to have great personal development, you need to think along these lines. We've heard the saying, slow and steady wins the race. And this is horticultural time. Because what do we tend to do? We actually tend to want everything to go by clock time. Because again, let's just do a comparison. We plant a seed, or AKA we start a habit or a goal, whatever it might be. And what usually happens when you plant a normal seed is then you have to wait, okay? But we don't like to wait. Now, the word wait, actually, one of the meanings is to be available or in readiness, to look forward to eagerly, or to continue in expectation. So waiting is not actually a bad word or a bad thing to do. but it's kind of like we have made the word wait just like not even, it's just like, it's such a bad thing in your vocabulary to wait. Notice that. I just made you guys wait. I'm sure some of you, unless you're listening to this podcast at 1.5 speed, you're like, oh, what's happened? Like you almost put your finger up to change things because I waited. All right. So this is how we think. This is how our brain thinks these days. So again, going back to the analogy, we have planted a seed or we start a habit, but what do we tend to do? Just like, the experiment that you do with kids where they plant a seed, they put it on the windowsill in the classroom, they look at it every day, day after day after day. And after a couple of days, nothing happens and they want to dig it up. They're like, oh, wait, there's something wrong. This is not working. And we have to be like, no. Don't dig it up. You just have to wait. But this is what we do. We want to dig it up. We want to stop. We want to stop it. We want to quote unquote, stop watering the seed, cultivating it, which watering it and cultivating is continuing those little habits day in and day out, even when we're not seeing results. But what do? We go, no, it's not working. We didn't have an instant effect. It's not working. So we stop or we derail what we're doing. I mean, think of it. How many have started a diet and maybe you've started on day 1 and like by day 3, you are not like the model. You haven't lost what you think you should lose. And you go, oh, no, it's not working. No, not for me. This one just didn't work out. Our brain thinks like this, okay? How many have had like that thought? Even if you've continued on, but you're like, this one didn't work for me. That diet didn't work for me because you didn't stick to it, okay? So we've got to change our mindset. We've got to change the way we think and how we think of time, especially when it comes to our goals, personal growth, just big things in life. Business, building a business, things like that. We have to change our thinking on, especially when it comes to time. Because clock time is just like, if this isn't better in 24 hours, I'm done. Whereas horticultural time says, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep at it because everything that I'm doing, like watering the seed, cultivating it, continuing with it, that's just helping it grow. And then one day I'll see results. I'll see a sprout. And even if you're going like, sometimes like, especially if you're in a weight loss journey or even building a business, you might only see like a sprout here and there. And then you've got to keep doing it. And then you see a little bit more growth. So you've got to continually do those things. And as you practice that more and more, it does become easier and you learn how to do it. So we have to change our thinking and we have to think of our goals and the habits that we're doing and our personal growth and whatever big sort of things we're working towards, whatever it might be. It might be in your finances. It might be in your work career. It might be in your health, your spiritual life, whatever area it might be. We have to change our thinking on the time clock that we're abiding by. And you have to go from like this visual, like think of a visual clock. We have to like almost remove that kind of concept and move to a clock of, hey, this is like a seed. I'm planting it. I've got to water it. I'll see a sprout. I'll see a little bit of growth. I'll see things here and there. We have to change our thinking. And let me tell you, when you start to change your thinking this way, it actually adjusts that when you're doing things. So let's say, again, you're going, whatever, a weight loss goal or a writing goal or a business goal. And you're just kind of like, it feels very slow, but you can go, okay, I can see even in the slowness, there's growth. Okay. You have to trust that the process is working. We have no idea what a seed is doing when we plant it. No idea. I'm sure we can Google and they can tell us, we can watch a video. But for the plain person who just gardening is not their thing, I don't know what is happening to that seed underneath the ground. Okay? But whatever is happening, I know is causing that seed to grow and develop into what it needs to be. Okay? So that time in the ground, doing what it needs to do as you continue to water it, cultivate it, do those things, It is doing something. You may not fully know what it's doing. And most of the time, especially if it's like a personal growth goal or something, it's working on you. It's working on changing your mindset about things. This process is about you. Most of the time, it is literally about changing the way you think, changing the way you work things, changing the way you handle things, causing you to be patient when you're an impatient person, causing you to be maybe a more caring person than a quick person, or it's causing you to actually think before you speak. Just different things. It's actually working on you. So if we change the way we think from clock time to horticultural time, it's going to help in our personal development, especially when it comes to goals and when it comes to working on things. So I hope that was a little bit of encouragement and helps you to start to shift things. Now, this is not going to come quick and easy. You're going to have those days where you're like, it's not happening. I want to give up. And maybe you do give up for a couple of days, but get back on, get back in there. Don't dig up the seed. Maybe you just didn't water it for a couple of days. Okay, whatever. Just go back to straight watering it, cultivating it, doing what you need to do, and seeing things begin to grow. And even if it's growing slowly, learn to have some patience. Maybe remember that song. Have patience, have patience. Don't be in such a hurry. When you get impatient, you only start to worry. So impatience, the only thing about impatience is you just worry. You just dwell on the thing. But when you begin to have patience, it's kind of like you let it go. You let the process do its work. Okay, so yeah, again, I hope this really encouraged you. I just want to say, subscribe to the channel so you're notified when more episodes go up. This is great. And if you want to give a rating and review, I would absolutely love that. And your comments, I would love to hear those as well. So thanks so much for tuning in today's episode, and I will see you next time.